I have one number for you. 629. It's actually a huge number because it's 629 million euro. That's the amount of money that the StartLife startup have raised so far. Two years ago, we made a prediction that the investments in the agri-food ecosystem will keep rising exponentially. And as you can see, despite everything, we made it. We delivered. You delivered the ecosystem. So the corporates, the investors, and of course, the startups. So please give yourself a big round of applause. My name is Jean Boudillon. I'm the program manager at StartLife. I'm super happy to welcome you to this 12th edition of the StartLife Demo Day. So, a warm welcome to you. We are super happy to have you. We have the live audience more than ever. We have also the online audience. Hello, guys, joining online. As you know, the more people are here, the more we can help the startup, and the bigger the impact we can have on the food system. So thank you for being here. That's also the reason, making this even bigger, that we made it a side event for FNA Next. So quick question, how many of you are also coming to FNA Next tomorrow and after tomorrow? Okay, that's quite a lot. And for the others, you couldn't get a ticket, or what happened? In any case, thanks a lot for being here. Like, the startup really needs you, so we are really happy for you to be here. As you know, StartLife is born out of the vision of our founding partners, the Food Valley, Wageningen University and Research, and Oostenel, the regional agency. Yet, it wouldn't be possible without our partners, the program partners, the corporate partners, and the investor partners. And we all believe in the same thing, that by being connected, we can have a bigger impact for the startup. And today, I'm really proud to say that we have more than 40 partners. So again, corporate partners, investors, and program partners. And I'm really happy to announce 2 new partners today. I'm looking for them in the room. The first one is Zebra Legal. That's a boutique law firm. Yes, Ralph, is Sebastian here as well? Or? Okay. Okay, so it's a boutique law. It's a boutique law firm based in Amsterdam, and they're here to help the founders from the beginning of their journey to fundraising and hopefully even longer. And second, a new partner, Corteva AgriScience, a giant plant protection company. I think they are also here in the room somewhere, I'm not sure where. Okay, so give them a bigger applause also for joining the community. So of course we provide deal flow and scouting to this partner, but that's not the only thing. We are here to create interaction, to create the conversation. Of course with the startup, with the founders, but not only, also between the partners themselves and between you guys. Again, the more connected we are, the bigger the impact that we can have on the food systems. But today, I'm lucky not to be the only one on stage, and I want to welcome Yorin, my dear colleague, dear friends. She's a startup analyst at StartLife. She's also in charge of our food tech corporate partners. Please give her a warm welcome. It's her first time on stage. You need the clicker.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Jean. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, audience. Many familiar faces in the room today, so it's quite comfortable for me. Thank you all. Today we are together here in a special building, but also for a special event. This is the first time, actually, that we put together a program with only startups from the StartLife à la carte program. So you might be wondering what this StartLife à la carte exactly? So it's a program that focuses on a little later stage companies than you're used to. So from our side, we are usually focusing very much early stage, but these companies already have a product market fit. They're already making a revenue. They're already creating impact, and they need you to create an even bigger impact in their journey towards scaling even bigger. So in order to get a little bit of a feel for at least who is here in the room, unfortunately, online audience cannot see you raise your hands. But who among you all is an investor? Ooh, look, everybody that is a startup, please. Look at these people, you want to talk to them during the networking afterwards. On the flip side, who here is an entrepreneur or a startup? Investors, see here, your next investment, right? And then one that I find very interesting, I've practiced this question a lot, and I wonder what the outcome will be. Who here considers themselves to be an dramatic effect? Innovator was the word I was looking for. Who considers themselves to be an innovator? Oh, I see that some people don't raise their hands. Please do. Next time I ask, please do, because you are an innovator. You are being way too modest. You're here today with me, with Jean, with these startups. That means you are interested in early stage innovation. That means you want to help them. That's why you're here, aka you are an innovator. So welcome, innovators, also in our online audience, of course. We are here, I mean, Jean already said it, to network, so I'm very happy to say that earlier today we had the third installment of our startup fair, where the startups that are presenting today took some time to present their products outside. Should you not have the time, or not have had the time yet to look at that, please look at that during the networking and the drinks afterwards, because they will still be here. Then, so we are all here to strengthen our community and to create opportunities to accelerate all of this innovation that I've been talking about, and most importantly, to create impact. I mean, it's going to be a keyword for me all throughout today. And somebody that knows all about creating impact with startups is our managing director, Laura Thiesse. So please give a warm welcome, as warm as for me, for Laura Thiesse.
Thank you so much, Jorien. Am I on? Yeah. Thank you so much, Jorien, and a very warm welcome to you from me as well. It's fantastic to have so many people of our community in this room today. And what a figure, 629. We're super happy that our startups are doing so well. And that's not a given, because we're in a totally different funding environment than a couple of years back. So we're even more proud than ever that these founders got that money in. A lot of generalist VCs left the space, so for the ones that are still in the game, those sector-specific investors, this might just be the right time to invest. So in this difficult funding environment, and we did see, of course, startups stopping as well, and we did see some consolidation in the sector, startups in the cultivated meat space, for instance, looking for their niche and hooking up together. But in this difficult funding environment, we have even more respect for those founders who are starting a business and who are trying to make food systems more sustainable. These are founders who are jumping from solid jobs into startup life. These are students who, after finalizing their master and PhD degrees, don't go for the standard career track, but move into startup life and trying to make a contribution to sustainable food systems. And we need this. We need this. We need talented people, national and international people in the sector to make a difference. Why? Because food systems have to, the sustainable food systems just only began. This transition just only began. So we need to be open to collaboration, we need to focus, and we need to drive innovation in this sector. Today, StartLife has a very strong funnel of startups. So we see all those startups, all those founders starting. And we're very happy that they say that we do well. They gave us a 9 out of 10 for the support that we give to them. So there's a stellar team behind this, the StartLife team, who is running their asses off to support these startups to the best of their ability. So before I hand over to Jorien, and before we're going to see a couple of pitches, I want to ask you to give your hands up, give a big applause for the StartLife team. Jorien, let's go.
Yeah, love to. Yes. So a 9 out of 10 as a rating on a program. That's really impressive. I'm very proud to be a part of that team that makes that happen. But that's not what we are here today. I'm not going to talk to you about what Accelerate program is. I'm not going to talk to you what StartLife is. I'm going to talk to you about what the menu of today is. I mean, this is the StartLife à la carte demo day after all. So we have an à la carte menu, sort of. We have prepared, come on, nope, stay. We have prepared around 10 courses for you today. We start off with 4 courses of startup pitches, and then it's time for a little intermezzo with 2 special and extremely successful cases that will take the stage in between. And then we close with 4 more courses of startup pitches. During those pitches, they will take their time to talk to you about their innovation, what they've been doing in these past couple years that they've been around. And then I will leave it all to you. So here in person, but also online, because I need you all, or I give you all the space to ask any and all questions that you have to them. I want to hear myself talk as little as possible. And in order for our online audience to also participate, we have my colleague here to the right, Samuel Rapulu, who is my equal as a startup analyst on the AgTech side and taking care of our AgTech-focused corporates. He will take all of your questions, and he will, if you want to ask a question from the online audience, please write it down at the lower right-hand side of your screen. If you see a question that you particularly like, you can upvote it, and Sam will make sure that it gets to me. Yeah, I think that's everything. No, there's still one more thing. I want to make sure that everybody knows that this session is recorded. So in case you do not want to be on the recording in voice or with your face, please keep your question for the networking afterwards. If you do feel comfortable with that, please ask them right now. Jean, that's all of the announcements that I had.
Yes. Let's welcome on stage another startup from the UK, NatCap, the nature intelligence company. The floor is yours, Sebastian.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm going to introduce you to NatCap. We make it easy to measure, report, and act on nature. And the context here is we have a climate crisis that many of you have been working on for many years. We also have a nature crisis, a water crisis, a pollution crisis, a biodiversity crisis. And just like we've had to change how we measure, report, and act on climate, we're now having to do the same for nature. And we're seeing companies embark on a nature journey, primarily here in Europe, because you have to. As of January this year, CSRD came into force, which means thousands of companies now have to report on their impacts and dependencies on water, biodiversity, pollution for the first time. But we see many companies go beyond that, and here in Europe and around the world start to subscribe to the TNFD, which is the gold standard voluntary framework that companies are increasingly using. But all of this reporting is just the foundation. Where we're heading is a world in which nature, as well as climate, is embedded in your corporate strategies, and you have targets, not only to address net zero, but to set you on a nature-positive trajectory. And doing all of this is hard, and it opens up a whole host of new challenges. Firstly, how on earth do we select what we should be measuring when we start our nature journey? How do we collect all that data, which today is fragmented across all sorts of different NGO, non-profit, and paywalled sources? How do we then integrate this data and generate business value so it doesn't just sit in a report, but it drives decision-making and risk management? NatCap is the partner for that nature journey, and our anchor here is science excellence. We were spawned out of Oxford University. Our academic founder is Professor Baroness Cathy Willis, an authority in this space, and we take we take science very seriously, and it's the foundation to everything we do. But what we've spent the last 5 years building is a software product that integrates all of the data you need to measure nature in one place, coupling unique access to third-party data sources and layering that with our own IP and models. But then we recognize, particularly here in Europe, there is a demand for consultants and advisors to help you as you start that nature journey. And we've built an advisory team from the best consulting firms and institutions to help you do that. So NatCap's technology works by firstly integrating all the data we can find on your supply chain and your operations as a company, ingesting over 90 third-party data sources from satellite, government, and site-level data, including exclusive access to some high-cost and high-quality data sets. And then we layer on top of that proprietary models. We have the world's largest database of proprietary metrics to convert that raw data into the metrics of biodiversity integrity, soil quality, water quality, key biodiversity areas, the data that you actually need as a business to start reporting and acting and measuring nature. And that all comes together in our software platform. And we're not just doing this for the first time. We're the market leader who are doing it for the 10th, 20th, 30th time. And we're working already with the biggest energy company here in Europe, Equinor. We work already with the biggest retailer in the UK, Tesco. We've worked with the biggest bank in Australia, Combank. We work with the biggest insurance company in Asia, MS&AD. We work with the biggest crop sciences firm, at least in Germany and abroad in Bayer. And we've partnered with some of the world's leading consulting firms as their data provider, and with some of the world's leading NGOs to develop some of these metrics. And why are these companies using us? They're using us because scientific excellence matters. When you're facing external scrutiny on these topics, getting it right matters. They're using us because we're cost effective, because we've automated so much of this solution and so much of this problem through our software. And they're using us because we have unique access to IP and data that these companies need. So we're NatCap. We're making it easy and cheap to measure, act, and report on nature, and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I cut the in-person audience a little short last time, so I will. Who has the first question? Oh. Sam, do you have a question from the online audience, perhaps?
I have a question from Emilio. Could you be a bit more specific? What exactly is the data that you're tracking?
So we have over 70 metrics in-house that we've built to measure nature, and these align with the CSRD and TNFD framework. So to be specific, these will be things like proximity to key biodiversity areas, proximity to protected areas, proximity to World Heritage sites, water scarcity, soil health. Those would be the metrics that we use to assess whether your site is important for nature. And then once we've assessed how important those sites are, we will then measure the impacts and the risks using a whole larger suite of metrics. So it really varies by industry and company which metric is appropriate, which is why we've had to build so many.
Thanks.
Great. I see a question here. Lady in red.
Thank you very much. How is your data regarded by investors and regulators?
How should what, sorry?
How's your data, how's your outcome regarded by investors and or regulators?
So one of the things that's unique about nature, which differs from climate, is we don't have the GHG protocol, which defines the standards by which one measures scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Nature doesn't have those standards yet, so it's a bit of a free-for-all, for better or for worse, which is why we've invested so heavily in science, which is why we're spun out of Oxford, which is why we've peer-reviewed as many of our metrics and models as we can, which is why we've built the advisory board of professors that we have, because we believe in a world without regulatory standards behind the metrics. It's important to have a high level of internal excellence to provide companies the confidence that data is sufficient quality.
Wow, that sounds very promising. Thank you so much, Sebastian.
Thank you.
I don't know how people are feeling here, but I am ready for that intermezzo that I talked about earlier. So I will happily tell you that we open up our stage for 2 extremely successful startup scale-ups even. So, I mean, what's left is for me to hand over the microphone to Lut, I think. Oh, there we go. Come on.
Yes.
Yes. The clicker. Yeah.
My name is Ferdinand Los, and I'm co-founder and current CEO of Hudson River. So we're an agricultural biotech company, and we function as a technology provider to other companies in the industry, and driving our mission of helping the world change to a sustainable bioeconomy. So we split that down into 2 important elements. The first one is CRISPR editing of plants, where we develop CRISPR technologies and enable other companies to incorporate these into their plant breeding workflows. And the second part is improving the way we do crop care by changing formulation technologies that help reduce the use of agrochemicals.
So the CRISPR machinery is actually like a molecular scissors that cut at a certain location you want in the DNA. The plant cell itself repairs it, but usually the gene after that is altered. And with altering these genes, you get a different trait of the plant.
Tiger is our workflow for CRISPR genome editing in plants. The Tiger workflow we've applied to a number of different crops, and a big one is strawberry, where we've been successful from going from beginning all the way to the end, and we can now start to generate new commercial varieties.
It helps companies create new crops, better crops, crops of the future or crops of tomorrow, we say. So it helps them speed up their breeding program. An organization like StartLife provides, above everything, a community, and next to all kinds of support, of course. And I think, entrepreneurs often have many ideas, and some of them may be great, but you need the community for inspiration, but also for definitely telling you what not to do. And getting a company off the ground can seem near impossible sometimes, and you will need all the help you can get, the support, but also the steering. Yes, and I think its network is tremendously valuable, if not crucial.
The company grew from 3 to 28 employees from roughly about 2018 until today, 2024. Mainly very proud of all the other people that helped make this possible. Because in the end, your team is not something you can do by yourself. So it's having these amazing people together and see what you can build together. That is the awesome thing about it.
I see Hudson River expand their client base all over the world, making CRISPR also a standard tool in plant breeding and expanding also our technology portfolio. So really help tackle the bottlenecks in the future.
Let's give Hudson River Biotechnology an applause before we start. So it's great to have you, Ferdinand and Lotte. Please take a seat. Yeah. Happy to have you. Before we start, I'd like to say a couple of words on why we are doing this. So every year, every edition of our demo day, we have an alumnus update, right? So when you look at the reason why we are doing that is because there's quite a lot of research about startups and scale-ups. And if you think about it and if you look at the data, we're quite good in starting. So starting is done in the Netherlands, in Europe, relatively well. But scaling is, let's say, where we can really improve on, right? So that's why we have invited Hudson River Biotechnology on stage, but also we have the vegetarian butcher later in the program, because we'd like to share these learnings where we are, which we are facing. And it's great to have you, Lotte, and Ferdinand here today with us. Let me start with you, Ferdinand. So back in 2018, you started the company. Was there how did it happen? Was there this technology that was so exciting that you were like, okay, I have to do something with it? Or how did you start the company?
Yeah, so we're a bit unique, I think, compared to many other companies also that we see here, in that we didn't start from, say, a technology spun out from a university or something like that, but we were looking around in the market for questions to solve that were in the realm of things that me and the co-founder worked on. At the same time, the CRISPR technology started to dominate the medical industry, you could say. So yeah, we started working with that, and we actually started with the opportunity that we saw in the plant breeding business in this case, and start to look around for technologies that we could use to help apply CRISPR in plant breeding. And from that, we started with one business case and then grew to what we are now.
And you started with 3 people in Wageningen in a small lab, or like how did this? How did it
so
start?
tiny. It was. I mean, it was an idea at the beginning, and it was me and the other co-founder running around talking to people. At some point, we got traction with the ideas, the stories that we had. So we managed to land a grant from the European Union, a small startup grant. And we used that to rent lab space basically at Wageningen University. And then quickly afterwards, we could attract our first employee, later on a second employee who is still with us, which is wonderful. And then from there came fundraising, seed funding, and that helped us move into our own lab. We became too big to be a subletter at the university, so to speak. You collect the puzzle pieces and build the story from there. Yeah.
Great, impressive. Hey Lotte, indeed, you were, Ferdinand already shared, like you were an employee number 2.
Yeah.
I think you started as a researcher in the company, or?
Yes, I don't remember how many functions I had from then till now, but indeed I started as a researcher, and actually this was the most surprising to me in the beginning, that there is no IP, what's your technology? You have this idea, but it still seemed very, very exciting and very appealing. So it was a point of my career that I also could say, like, why not? I wanted to transition out of academia. I was fresh out of academia, but yeah. So,
hey, and as an R&D director, are you able to walk within the strawberries every day, or is it like?
No. Most of our plants are in little pots in sterile culture. So often we say also, do you have greenhouses? We do not. Sometimes we rent at the university. But most of the clients that we work with have the most economical for them is to facilitate that part. Whereas we really apply the technology. That's also what we always say. We are the technology experts. They are the crop experts. And together we collaborate to create something new.
Tell us a little bit more about the platform and the technology itself.
Right, so as I said, so we apply CRISPR, so we take the plants from the client and we break them down into singular cells. And those singular cells, we put the CRISPR machinery inside to do the job that it needs to do. And then from that single cell, we regenerate the plant again. And by doing it in this way, we also are completely transgene free. And also completely, the genetics are stable after that because they all originate from that single cell. And I think that's what the strength that we have also, because we can do this for any plant, so we're not restricted to a plant that we can transform in a way that are how it's generally done in a lot of academic labs or companies. So agnostic, species agnostic.
Great. Hey Ferdinand, when we prepared for this session, you were sharing that I think 50% of your company comes from outside the Netherlands, right? So tell me a little bit, like what is it like to work in a company and to build a company with such a diverse set of people?
Yeah, so we do that by design. Wageningen is a wonderful place, of course, to find talent. If the university has a wonderful pond to fish in. But we wanted to have a much more diverse group of people to work with, to make sure we have people from different countries, different cultures, different types of education, different experience all together to leverage what they bring and get to a much bigger, better product and service that way. What it means is that you have to spend more time on the front end, finding the right people. There's visa sponsorship, etc. that can get involved. And in running the company with such a diverse group of people, there's a lot of cultures. There's different languages. there can be sensitivities in communication. So you need to be more patient with each other, have respect and understanding for the other people in your company, and take the time to learn about that. Once that works, however, you start to reap the benefits, and you see the synergistic effect that you get from having such a diverse pool of people.
Yeah, I guess in plant breeding, it's a highly international field, right? So you benefit a lot from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lotte, in the video you talked about one of the upsides of being connected to StartLife is also that you see what not to do. So what ideas did you not proceed, or how?
In the beginning, we had a wonderful technology that also helped identifying what to target in the genome. We had a partner in that, and it was a wonderful technology. It tingles all the scientific bubbles, but we noticed that it was too expensive to execute. So it may be later also, it's not the time now. A lot of people wanted to have a proof of concept, they know with the target they want to hit. Worrying about this much more, it's something to worry about in the future. Yeah. And there's been more things that you sometimes think about. There's so much you can do now, like with synthetic biology. It's like, oh, let's AI this and then screen everything. And then you go like, oh, but what would be benefit? And it's like, oh, but you could just buy 10 and test 10 and then you have your... Yeah, you could. But so, and especially the academic mind switch sometimes really needs, because we have a lot of academics and they like get excited very quickly with something new and abandoning maybe existing project and picking up the new one. But cool. There's often we go like, no, let's focus. Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions from the audience, the online audience, or here in person for Hudson? In front?
Yeah, one question. No? Gotta wait for the cube.
Is it not GMO?
Right.
Because it is a spacer you insert, right?
It depends on where you ask the question. So GMO is
in Europe.
Yeah,
Holland to be precise.
When
We're
you
in
ask the question.
Yeah. No, so in Europe, the regulation is still in limbo. So there's been a proposal approved by the Commission on how to handle CRISPR-modified crops. It gets a bit technical, but it depends on what type of edit you make with the CRISPR machinery, and that makes it fall into sort of a light or a heavier category. And the idea is to deregulate the light category and to keep GMO regulations in place for the heavy category. And now we're basically waiting for the next step in the EU regulatory process to get towards approval. The general consensus is that we are moving in that direction, but it will take time to get everyone on board and to negotiate the final language there.
And where will your revenue come from in the meantime?
Well, it is already coming from various places, including Europe, so that's maybe good to know. So a lot of companies are already investing in CRISPR technology, even though you cannot yet sell any CRISPR products here. But so, it's an R&D tool as well. You can use it for diagnostics, analysis, etc. In addition, we have customers, for example, in the United States, in Brazil, South Africa, and there they look differently at the regulatory question.
Thanks.
In the back, I think there's either you poking a red. Yeah.
Hi. So if I understand correctly, you are generating plants from single cell, and I was wondering, you're probably using a lot of regeneration protein like WUSHEL and others to regenerate your plant, and I was wondering how it affects the final stability of the genome in your final product.
Yeah. No, good question. So we always have, especially when tissue culturing, there can always be changes, as you can always get changes always. So we thoroughly screen for that afterwards, and we have a high throughput screening method to test all kinds of media conditions and regeneration boosters, etc. So there's always that possibility, but we have found that mostly it varies from species to species of how bad this is, but we can scale for that, and it is not affected by the editing itself. So it's really the tissue culturing, what we are already used to a lot, of which we are aware sometimes introduces variation. Yeah.
It's not exactly tissue culture, it's generating a plant from a cell. So
Yes.
it's more than...
Sure, yeah. It's the more advanced tissue culturing for sure, yes.
Wow, nice stroke in there, right? Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, a remark. It's not an easy choice, strawberry, to start with, especially in genome editing, but maybe you can reflect on that. But my question is, I've been working for a seed company for 36 years, always been on the other side. And how do you deal with always that question concerning, please provide us freedom to operate?
Yeah, so the first question, why strawberry? So it wasn't actually the first crop that we worked on.
Because they taste good, right? Simple.
Yeah, I mean,
they look good.
You actually get the little berries when you grow them in the in vitro pots. Amazing. Yeah. So the crops we choose are in big part driven by demand from the market. So obviously we have a few of our test horses in house, like tomato, that we like to work on to test new stuff. But it's mainly questions that we get from customers. And so we at some point started a collaboration with a company that was very interested in doing CRISPR in strawberries. And that was a reason to trigger this. And yeah, we were actually successful in getting that protocol up and running and moving forward. And then on the FTO side, so that's indeed always a difficult question. And it's one that you have to break down into different pieces of FTO. You may be referring specifically to the CRISPR side of it. That's, of course, the difficult part. We use an enzyme called MAD7 from a company called Inscripta. We have a license to use this enzyme. They have their own freedom to operate in this space. And in addition, some of our customers have their own CRISPR licenses, for example, to the Cas9 or the Cas12a enzyme. And so it's a conversation with our customers on which choices we make there. The workflow that we have is independent essentially of which CRISPR enzyme you use. So we like to work with MAD7, but we can equally well work with others. If it's a really new one, we'll have to do some tuning to get our editing percentages up, etc. But yeah, we address that by being flexible and making sure that you have the correct licenses in place to work with the enzymes that we use.
Great. Any last questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'd like to thank you. I have a small present for you, and it relates to a different crop, which I will get from the back.
This is your wish list, Luke.
This is indeed my wish list. So, it's a bush of green gold, as we call it, asparagus. It's harvested on Sunday by my dad, and he asked if you can somehow engineer the crop in such a way that they become taller, so he doesn't have to.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe there's easier solutions to that, but we'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Thank you, well.
All right. So next, we're moving to a whole different category. We're moving to the alternative proteins category. It's a great pleasure to have Hugo and Nico, and I'm glad you survived the thunderstorm, Nico, to invite you on stage for a discussion and a small presentation. Please give them a big applause. Again, so why are we doing this? Because we would like to share the learnings, right? So I've asked Hugo and Nico to give a short presentation on how Vegetarian Butcher started, first of all with Nico, and then how it has evolved into, let's say, a startup in a larger organization. So maybe, Nico, you would like to start. Yeah. If you want to stand, also please feel free, whatever you want.
Yeah. In 2008, I met Jaap Korteweg on a dinner table in France during my holiday. And I'm a member of the Senate for the Party for the Animals in the Netherlands and a founder of the party. And Jaap Korteweg is a ninth-generation farmer. So that wasn't a guarantee for a good conversation whatsoever. But it turned out that Jaap had a big problem because he was a born meat addict and I was a born vegetarian. And he said, well, 10 years ago, the government came to him and asked him during the big pig pest culling, can we store 20,000 big dead pigs in your cooling houses? Because we don't have the destruction capacity. And he said, no, I won't do that. And then he decided to be an ethical carnivore. Well, I didn't had a clue what that could be, but Jaap said he wouldn't eat meat at home anymore, but only when dining out. And then he found himself more and more dining out. And he said, wouldn't it be nice if there should be a machine which can produce meat just from feed? So just taking the middleman out. And well, I said, well, that's a nice idea. You can have fantasies about almost everything during your holidays. But well, let's think about it. And 1 week after the holiday, he called me and he said, well, when do we start? And I said, well, I don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. So what's the big deal in it? And he said, well, I'm going to put my whole pension fund in it, and you are going to put your whole pension in it, and 90% chance that it will be a total disaster. And I said, well, I have to discuss this with my wife. And she said, please do it. Very important. And then
we have to be careful here, because my wife is in the audience, so if something happens...
Yeah, okay, I can talk to her.
Okay.
So we decided to release the animals from the food chain, and we started the world's first vegetarian butcher. And our ambition was to be the biggest butcher in the world. Not the biggest vegetarian butcher, but the biggest butcher. And well, Jaap was the icon of the store, and we realized we couldn't do this on our own. So we need the help of a big organization. That's where Hugo comes in.
Exactly. That's about 5.5 years ago when the Vegetarian Butcher and Unilever came together. And powering up to product superiority, because that's what it's all about. How are we convincing meat lovers to switch to plant-based offerings? And what Unilever could offer to the Vegetarian Butcher is both chefs to make amazing products, and R&D here in Wageningen with our high facilities, Silicon Valley of food. And we have over 300 chefs in R&D and the big facility here. And that really gave the butcher wings to create more products, better products. And our range has expanded significantly. We play in multiple channels now, in multiple offerings, from dinner meat to on-the-go to actually sandwiches. And while our mission is to release animals from the chain, and that really is what we're after, and we are actually measuring our success by the amount of animals released from the chain, more than 3 million every year, and counting, growing very fast. It also has a very positive side effect for the planet. 96% less greenhouse gases, 96% less land, and 70% less water. And that's a comparison on our patty on the back, one of our burgers. Now, these are big, heavy topics, both planet and animals, and it started from a sad 1998 crisis. But we keep it lighthearted, and for the Dutch people here or European, you'll know our marketing, and this is one of the things, 10 out of 10 chicken approve our products. So everything we do with humor, keep it lighthearted, because nobody wants to be pointed at, thou shalt eat plant-based meat. It needs to be tasty, and it needs to be a bit fun. If you want to make it commonplace and really make plant-based meat big, what you need to do is make sure that it's everywhere. And you need to team up with partners. You can't do it alone. These are some of our partners. Burger King across the globe. We serve them with Whoppers, long chicken, etc. But also Starbucks, Subway, Domino's, BBGO. Many of those go where the meat lovers are. And that's what we're trying to do. So what we try to drive is what was started by Jaap and Nico, but then on a large scale, we're in 60 markets and counting across the globe now as one of the biggest global plant-based players, a plant-based revolution that sacrifices nothing. So that's what we do, and that was in a few minutes what we do. So ready for your questions.
And I forgot to mention that you're the CEO of Vegetarian Butcher today.
Yeah, so when Unilever merged with the Vegetarian Butcher, I became the CEO.
Yeah.
Or taken over. When Unilever was taken over by the vegetarian butcher.
Yeah,
Let's give it to you.
Cool. I wanted to ask you, Nico, so there's a couple of startups in the room. You've seen 4, you'll see another 4 later, which are at what we call product market fit, almost-ish. So you were at product market fit at that point in time, and then somehow you started to talk, and then this merger happened, right? So how would you, what's your advice to companies in the room? Like how to treat the process, how to say when to start talking, when is it too early, when is it too late?
Well, I would say have big ambitions and live to it. So make those ambitions come true. When Jaap said we are going to be the biggest butcher, we didn't have a clue about how, but we decided to do so.
So think
and
bigger.
I think if you're let's say convinced of your ideas, just live to it.
Yeah. And Hugo, for you, so when we were preparing the session, you were saying something like there could have been 1,000 reasons why this whole integration of vegetarian butcher and Unilever couldn't work out. But like, what's the magic of integrating a startup into an organization like Unilever?
Yeah. On a slide, it sounds wonderful. Match made in heaven. Huge company, small company with startup. You put them together and it will fly. But obviously, you have an entrepreneurial, pragmatic spirit of a small company, and you have the big company, but processes, systems, etc. How to get the best out of that small entrepreneurial and a big corporate, I think is rather tricky. Because
how big was the team when the, let's say, 2 organizations started to work together?
Yeah, so I think there were probably 8 people in R&D, 1 in sales, and probably 5 in the factory or so. Yeah. So it's probably 13, 14 people. Yeah, and we're talking hundreds now across the globe. What is important, I think, when you start, is that you keep it separate. And that you try and keep it as separate as possible in the beginning, not to overwhelm the startup with all that the company, the larger company wants. And that was one of the considerations for me when I started the job. I said, I want a clubhouse, which was Breda, where the factory is, an own management team to take own decisions. And to be rather independent, not on the 8th floor of Unilever, because then you're tiny and you fall away, but really separate. And one of the things, there are many things to do, but one of the things that I did in the first year, we hired a lot of people, and I told the team, I trust you on hiring the right talent, but I want to do all the final interviews with anyone from anywhere where we hire, just to make sure that we have people that are resilient, pragmatic, no ego. And those are some of the things that are not necessarily natural in a large corporate. So, so on that, on character, I've had to say no to a few people.
So for the corporates in the room here, is if they acquire a startup, your advice would be try to not integrate them immediately?
No, because I think what is a risk that on day 2 you get involved into being integrated in SAP, and then from day 2 you will only do SAP, and there is no thing, because it's so overwhelming. Yeah. And it sounds like a joke, but it's true. This is what happens because all the systems, etc. So I think you need to take what works from the large company and push back a lot. And I think that should be a role of a CEO that you hire that dares to push back big time and dares to be pragmatic and dares to fight the system. A small anecdote maybe. Even before I started, I did ice cream, was at Burger King where I sold ice cream, said, hey, we're going to make a vegetarian Whopper for you, or vegan Whopper even. And I wasn't connected to the vegetarian butcher. Started helping the vegetarian butcher, said, we can do this. And we need to scale up very quickly. And we needed, I don't know the name, we needed a huge mixer to be able to actually do a quick scale-up. So I said, team, can we buy the mixer? No, it takes 6 months. Can we rent it? Doesn't exist. So I started calling around to Unilever. I said, do we have this mixer somewhere? I said, yeah, Vladingen, we should have one. Called with Vladingen. Said, Vladingen, you have that mixer here. Can I pick it up? Like, okay, we'll ask somebody to look it up. I said, no. Do you have the mixer? Just look in the system. I said, yeah, we have the mixer. I said, okay, I come this afternoon. No. They said, we'll start the asset transfer, and in 6 to 8 weeks, you should be able to have a ticket number. I said, okay, I am on my way. Do not disappoint me. And I was in Breda at that time. I went to Borend, got a huge van, drove to Vladingen, rocked up there.
So keep the startup vibe.
And the guys there said, this is a crazy story. There's like an ice cream vice president that called my boss, said, wants the mixer, and we have to stand here with the mixer. I said, okay, I'm that VP, please help load, because we're a bit in a hurry, and off we go. But I think the best of both worlds, because we got a mixer the same day. You will never have been able to get it, because Unilever had it. But fight through all the walls and be a startup within. To grow it and keep that entrepreneurial spirit as well.
When we sold the company to Unilever, a lot of people said to me, just don't look back. Unilever is going to kill your baby. And we were the vegetarian butcher, and they made it the vegan butcher. So it's much better than we ever could.
Yeah.
And I think,
and also talking about impact, right? So you're now in 40K plus outlets. 60 countries, right? So
yeah, that's right.
I'm guessing the vegetarian butcher would have not have the distribution network.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so are there any questions from the audience? I'm pretty sure there is. Yes.
That's a very far throw.
You can try it. You're 100% score.
For the inspirational talk. I have a question mainly about the plant-based market. A couple years ago, we saw wonderful projections, and they're still good, but they're slowing down. So what is your advice or your recommendation on keeping those projections up collectively? How do we do that together?
Yeah, so good question. And obviously, we've seen very fast growth and tapering down. I think one of the things that we need to do is, first and foremost, make it commonplace. So as I said, go where meat lovers are. And what we do, go to restaurants, go to on-the-go, go to schools, go to hospitals, etc. So it should be everywhere. I think the second thing is taste, obviously, because only meat lovers will switch if the taste is good, which we're working on. Third one is price. Price, biggie. How to make it affordable. Now that's a bit chicken egg because you need scale to actually, get the price down. What we see is we see the growth more in the out of home than in the supermarkets.
Health food wall.
Sorry.
Health food wall.
The health?
Health food wall, the company.
Oh yeah, health food wall. Yeah. I just sort of pitched exactly. No, but on the go. We see that the growth is picking up again, but obviously, and this is the long-term answer, we all know with all these things, the S-curve, we're here, so any decline is a major decline because it's so small. But we're here, and the tipping point is here to come. In the worst case, when you look at all the teenagers, they're so much more aware and willing to try. In the worst case, we need to wait until the teenagers have the spending power. But I think it will come much quicker. And there's so many green shoots from retailers that stop promotions on animal meat to retailers. You know, if you look at the latest Allerhande, it doesn't say that it is a plant-based Allerhande, but 90% is plant-based. So, it will come. It will come.
You're
Absolutely.
optimistic. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. Minerv, yes, of course. I expected you to ask a question, so that's great.
Of course. So you talked about the connection with Unilever, and you talked about that one key factor was your ambition. and the fact that you really shared your longer term view. I think there's way more behind, because that seems so easy. It's like, yes, I've got a great ambition and I've got a connection. Can you tell more about how you did that connection? Because I think that would be super valuable for many of the startups.
Well, we were, Jaap and me, we were both convinced that we should take animals out of the food chain. And we still are. So after the vegetarian butcher, we started those vegan cowboys to make milk without cows. So we are absolutely convinced that animals shouldn't be bothered by our taste. So, well, it was just this convincement. And when I asked my wife, shall I do it? She said, well, put everything we have in it except our house. So we were really convinced to make this project happen.
Great. Good. Also for you, I'd like to thank you with a bush of green gold. And then please give them a big warm round of applause. Super. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving back to you, Jean.
Yes, thanks a lot, Lutz. And thanks, Nico, Hugo, Lotte, Ferdinand. Thanks a lot for the inspiration. Thanks for sharing your journey. And we hope that some of you, the entrepreneurs up there, you also be on this couch in a few years, sharing your story and your success story. Let's continue and look back in the future with the pitch. We have 4 more pitch to go. And we have a startup from the Netherlands, Food Foods. I need this. And yes, please, Karen, please welcome Karen Lancy. She's the technology lead at Food Foods. Karen, welcome.
Thank you.
You brought some drinks, so if you haven't tried yet, you can try the drinks after.
I have a small stash for the people that didn't get a chance to try. So, hello everyone, good afternoon. And again, my name is Karen Lacey and I'm the food technology lead at Full Foods. So, at Full Foods, what are we doing? So, we are basically future-proofing nutrition. So we're taking spirulina, which is one of the most resource-efficient component, and producing nutrition. So spirulina is so powerful that for 2 tons of CO2, we can produce 1 ton of nutrition. So the question is, why are we not consuming it? Number 1, taste, and secondly, functionality. So, as I mentioned, full protein is more resource efficient than other sustainable solutions. For example, it is 200 times more efficient than trees. Our process recycles 85% of the water that we use, and no arable land, fertilizers or pesticides are used. So, in regards to spirulina, it is absolutely packed full of nutrients. So it contains antioxidants, proteins, fatty acids, and many more components. So at Full Foods, we started with the blue component, which contains the antioxidant, which you will hopefully try in our drink today. And we currently hold 3 patents in regards to the blue extract. So what's next for us is the protein. So we're currently working with our side stream to produce a protein extract. And we're currently in the process of patenting this technology as well. So we've achieved a lot already. So we also are producing 10 tons of extract per batch. As I mentioned, we have a pilot ongoing in regards to our protein extract, which is decolorized and also tastes great. And as I mentioned, we have 3 patents and currently in the pipeline of our 4th patent. So what's next for us? So for us, it's very important to forge strategic alliances with also other startups that are here in the audience today. And of course, we want to cultivate and co-develop with other commercial companies and utilize our incredible ingredients. So hopefully we can connect today and that you have the opportunity to taste our ingredients. So I welcome your questions and I look forward to our conversations. Thank you very much.
So for that connection, let's ease that up a little bit. Scan the QR code. So
Yes.
I happily open the floor for any and all questions relating to not only the drink, but just the full ingredient range.
The full ingredient range, exactly.
And there in the middle. Yep. Can I get sound on the catch box?
Like this?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation, and I tasted it was really nice. And I have a question about if there is any limitation for example, consuming a day for people and also for kids. Thank you.
In terms of consumption?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
For example, because it has vitamins and everything, so for example, like multivitamins or something that we have a limitation for consumptions.
Yeah, this is a very, very good question, an important question. So I think it's important to follow a very nutritious diet. I mean, if you follow your daily recommended values, it's important to consider that when you consume a product which does contain nutrient-rich components. However, for now, I mean, we recommend you can drink up to about five cans per day if you wish, and you could obtain your daily dose of nutrients. So right now, there's no restrictions for now.
And how many cans would that roughly be?
So to get your daily dose, it depends on the nutrient that you're targeting. But for example, for vitamin C, you can get about 20% of your daily recommended dose with 1 can.
Wow.
About 20%. It depends on the size. For example, in the US, they consume a little bit of a larger can, which is 12 ounces. So it will depend if you're in the US or in the UK.
Right. Anybody else? All the way in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Very good. What's the subject of your patent?
So the subject of the patent is the stabilization technology in regards to our blue extract. So we have 3 patents currently internationally filed in regards to the blue extract. However, we are in the process of filing a 4th patent for the protein extract, which is both decolorized and deodorized and can be used in a number of applications and has high functionality.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And then right next to it, well, a little bit closer by, yeah.
Thanks a lot. There seem to be a lot of functional ingredients. I was wondering, what is the key consumer need that you're targeting?
So what we say is that the beverage is good for you and good for the environment. So in the sense that the phycocyanin itself is a microalgae which can utilize CO2 to produce nutrition. So in that sense, it's good for the environment. However, in terms of producing a product, we want to get a product that's on the market that is very sustainable in terms of health, but also in terms of the environment. So in terms of the product, it has antioxidant capacity and also detoxifying effects as well. And we see a lot of demand for these types of beverages in the US, and that's why we're seeing volumes absolutely soaring in the US. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.
And I cannot wait for the drinks afterwards,
Yes.
but we still have a couple more pitches to go first.
Okay, thank you so much.
So we leave you hanging a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Yildau. Our next startup is from Germany with a solution for the biomethane market. Please welcome, Henning. Henning, you're the CEO of AgriPotence. Tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, hi, I'm Henning, and I'm really happy to be on stage here and also grateful to the StartLife team to tell you a little bit about my journey as a German farmer's son to building up a startup. We are active in the biogas field and built up there a SaaS-enabled platform for biogas with more than 100 active users, where I want to tell a little bit more how we started, how we made our problem discovery, and maybe where we are staying at the moment. Biomethane derived from biogas can be used to sustainably replace natural gas. But 3 years ago, as we started with mostly farmers who have such a biogas plant in Germany, we saw, of course, they want to produce biomethane, but there were two major problems, which they feared after they lose 20 years. After 20 years, they're losing their subsidy. The first problem was everything regarding the certification of the product. So they have to do a real complex greenhouse gas balance and 3-day certification with an external auditor. And most of the farmers we talked with said, that's too much bureaucracy for me. I fear the risk of losing the certification, and so on. The second step, we also talked about the marketing of the product. So German farmers were not used to market their biogas because they got the subsidy from the government. Now they're fearing this total free new market. And there we saw that this marketing of the product is really a huge issue, but on the other side, there also lays a lot of value when it goes along with securing good prices with a good off-taker. As we started discussions with the other side of the platform, like the biogas off-taker, could be like bigger companies like BP, Shell, Total, but also smaller energy companies, we saw that they on the one side said, this fragmented biogas market. There are over 20,000 biogas plants all over Europe. Where can I find the right biomethane producer to secure the biomethane amounts I need hardly to replace my natural gas portfolio? The second step, we also saw that, for example, the biogas off-taker or energy company who is sitting in Paris or London, they told us we never talked with a farmer before, even though we don't know how to speak Dutch or German. And there we saw, similar to the farmers, that there are two groups. Often we say, humorously, we have one client group, they're having like pigs in the stable, and the other client group, they're having like gasoline in their blood, and we have to connect them both sides. And that is also our solution. Building up a platform to connect these both sides, producers and off-takers, and on their way helping the producers getting the certification and also continuously doing everything regarding their certification stuff. How do we monetize everything? On the one side, we're having a SaaS fee for the software solution. We are also very proud to get as a minimum 1,350 euros per plant. It's also good proof of the value proposition we're giving with the software. But furthermore, there's also the brokerage fee, which is more regarding the platform solution. It's depending on the size of the plant, but it's in most cases something around 3,500 euros. The SaaS fee, it's mostly a 2-year subscription. The brokerage, it's depending between 1 to 10 years, as an average 5 years. What is maybe our current traction? We started the company 21. We're able to triple or more than triple our revenue each year. So are really strong and good revenue momentum. So last year we concluded with more than 1.25 million euro and aim to get more than 3.6 million euro in this year, which you can see in the yellow line, with already good revenue of the last months. At the moment we are between 180 to 200,000 euro. We see it as very, very realistic to reach these goals. Also to give you like a small flavor of our current traction is 3 minutes sharp before this event started. I countersigned 2 new software contracts for the software, also countersigned a new working contract, and also looked into that for a webinar tomorrow in the morning. We're having already more than 500 attendees, so which is also a good feeling that today is a good day, and happy to be on stage. To really get this revenue, we are currently looking for a Series A round. There we already secured a good amount of money, but still looking for VCs, business angels who can go along. The Series A is mostly aiming for European expansion, but also bringing our software solution one step further. So thank you very much, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Henning. I think we have time for one question. Who will take the one? Oh, nobody dares. Come on. Sam, do we have somebody in the online audience, pretends? No. Not yet. Well, then I will just take the one. I will just claim it. So what does your typical client look like?
Yeah, like our typical client on the producer side, it's like a biogas producer, mostly with an agricultural background. They're having like a revenue of 1 to 2 million euros and having also like maybe also animals in the backyard and also like fields. But we're also having like clients which come more from the waste area, so like typical waste companies who are processing bio-waste, and also on the off-taker side, really like these classical energy companies which are there a lot in Europe.
Cool. Well, I see that I miscalculated. So if anybody still has a question, yes, here in the front. You can do this.
That was a pretty hard throw. Thanks. Henning, thank you. A very good story. I was just curious, do you consider yourself also an impact startup? So do you have an impact side to your business as well?
Yeah, so there we also have a really huge impact side, because with our software, the producers are converting from a more or less sustainable production to a really sustainable production. So they're switching from crops like myceliage to like waste streams, like could be agricultural waste, but also municipal waste and so on. So that's a really big switch. And also from the CHP, so like a combined heat and power, which is not so energy efficient, to the biomethane injection. So there we see also ourselves as a good impact part.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm very sorry, we do need to continue to the last one. So save your question, ask it at the stand, or ask it using the QR code. Thank you so much, Henning.
Yep, thank you.
So, Jean, tell me, who will take us home?
Yes, we just have one more startup from Spain this time, and they're using fermentation to valorize side stream. Please welcome them on stage. Bosco. Bosco, you're the CEO and co-founder. The stage is yours.
Thank you. What an interesting afternoon. So we all know the numbers. 30% of global GHG emissions comes from the food industry. And in MOA, we have realized that over 70% of carbon footprint of food producers comes from the ingredients that they are using. So that's why in MOA we wanted to build a global and a disruptive solution. We are a B2B sustainable ingredient platform where we combine biotechnology and artificial intelligence to transform waste and byproducts from the agri-food industry into high-value ingredients. And this is our platform. First of all, we start with our databases. We have a library of over 300 microbes and a database of byproducts of over 30 different byproducts that we can find all over the world. Albatros is our AI platform, which is based in the metabolic models of our microbes. And thanks to this, we are able to transform low-cost raw materials. These raw materials that we are using are around 100 euros per ton, and we are transforming them into high-value ingredients with around 15 to 10 euros per kilogram with over 85 conversion rate. And this number is very important for us because this is the number that we have already reached with all the processes that we have developed until the moment. And these ingredients have a high value in the market because are improving the final applications, for example, different meat analogs, even meat products, dairy analogs. We are improving fiber, protein content, we are improving digestibility, amino acid profiles, even the structure in some applications like high moisture extrusion or TVP, and reducing flavorings, salt, soy maskers or pea maskers and additives. And all the ingredients that we are developing until the moment and the byproducts that we are using are not novel food in Europe and are okay to use in the United States market. And as I was mentioning, all those applications or even pet food have been done with our fermented proteins. We are doing all this thanks to our great team. We are 3 founders. We are based in Spain, between Pamplona in the north and Madrid. We have experts in artificial intelligence, the fermentation side, and food applications. And this is our business model. So we are taking those byproducts from the food industry and transforming them into high-value ingredients that we are launching to the market. We are going to be in the market after the summer, and before the summer, we are going to have our first ingredients in one of the restaurants in San Sebastián. So if you're around, happy to, you're more than invited. So this is our business model, to sell those ingredients. But now that we are talking about our platform, there's a lot of interest from the food industry by partnering our platform and develop new ingredients or new processes solving problems. Currently, we have 4 big collaborations with big corporates, like, for example, with Barilla in Italy. We are transforming their byproducts into high-value ingredients, and we have over 26 potential projects there also. And this is our roadmap. We were born in 2021. We have already scaled our first ingredient into a bioreactor of over 70,000 liters scale. And we, as I was mentioning, we are launching this year our first ingredients. And here we are looking for clients, companies that want to use our fermented ingredients, but also partners who want to co-develop with us different solutions to valorize byproducts, and always open to analyze new investment opportunities. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bosco. So after the summer in where did you say?
No, before the summer is going to be in a restaurant in San Sebastián.
San Sebastián, that's the thing I was looking for. So before so I can go on summer vacations to San Sebastián.
Of course.
Deal. Who has a question for Bosco?
So you talked about your software, Albatross.
Yep.
So how did you acquire all the data needed for the software, and how long did it take you to fully develop this program?
Well, we have been building this program since 2021. The first data that we take is the genome of the microbes. So with that, we build the metabolic models, and also we validate this model with internal and external data that we can find in public libraries. But we are always, every month, we have discussions between the fermentation team and the AI team, adding more data into the tool. But the thing is that being able of creating this, while taking the metabolic models from exactly the microbes that we have, it makes it a super accurate tool. So everything that predicts Albatross, it's happening in our lab. So until the moment, it's true that we don't have tons of data, but it's more than enough that what we have.
Thank you.
Great. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
The question is, how do you make money? Is it the AI platform, the ingredients, or the side stream valorizations?
So we, as I was mentioning, we are launching our first ingredients to the market after the summer. So we are making money of selling ingredients, also with partners and distributors. But about the platform, it's like a partnership, a co-development. So there are some milestones at the beginning. So we developed also what the company is looking for in terms of functionality of the ingredient, or specifications of the final ingredient, or imagine that they want to valorize a specific byproduct. So we charge some milestones, and then there's a royalty model from each kilogram that we produce.
Yeah. Great. I mean, time is always way too short for these kinds of things. So I do want to thank you very much for sharing the stage with me once again. Again, please, if you still have any questions, find them during the networking drinks. I know that you're already excited to get there, but also scan the QR code for all of the extra information. Thank you so much. And most importantly, maybe, thank you. Thank you, in-person audience. Thank you, online audience. I really hope that all of these pitches, all of these talks on this couch, on this stage, that they were inspiring, that I will see some of you around during F&A Next tomorrow and the day after. Yeah, because we are here together because of all of you, because of the networking that is already happening right now, right here. So thank you, really, sincerely from my heart. I would not be here without this community. I would not be standing right here, right today. So I also have one call to action from my side, in case you find a startup that doesn't know about StartLife yet, or that does know about StartLife and really wants to be connected. Please send them my way, send them our way, send them to Sam, send them to me, send them to our team, because then we can make our impact even bigger.
Yes, Jolien, and I have more. Thank you. Thank you to the entrepreneurs up there. Thanks a lot for the pitch. That was really great. And thanks to the StartLife team. Maybe the people from StartLife, can you raise your hand so we see you? And thanks for the hard work all year round. And please, the founders, come on stage. The StartLife team, come on stage. We're going to take pictures. And for the others, we have drinks, we have bites, we have the drinks from Full Foods. We have a party, actually. So, yeah, have fun, enjoy the time, and thanks for coming. Thank you, everybody.